vatos, you want some warm tones, is it?
Warm tones.
That was a good clap.
It was.
Nice.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Quality.
Had a little bit of
It
Yeah,
did.
it was
It had
excellent.
quality to it.
yes, and
I
some
heard that.
slap back.
Very crisp. Slap back.
So what's going on, mate? What's happening lately? What's
Yeah, mate. There's been all sorts of stuff going on in my world. First of all, it's so awesome to see that the Sunny Coast is just opening up
Yeah,
with
it's
live music
amazing.
again.
we're so blessed, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel like we're probably definitely the most blessed in the world right now.
I agree.
And in that transition, or basically, I've just sort of started steering. Like I've got my artistry of like what I've got like with my bands and my solo project and DJ project and that sort of stuff, and then it's sort of leading into more events lately. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys are organising events?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we seen a bit of a gap because there was no events happening last year, obviously, with the whole COVID thing.
100%.
And about 6 or 7 weeks out from New Year's, we thought, hang on, what's going on? There's no one putting a decent New Year's festival on because the festivals had all shut down, Woodford, all that stuff, and Mooloolaba had all gone to crap. And so we decided to run a festival called Thrive, and
Awesome.
it ended up being a real hit. It was great.
Awesome, man.
We flipped it around in about 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Which is
5 weeks.
it was
Wow.
one of the most stressful things I've ever
Oh,
done.
the word stress actually just came.
Sounds like this podcast for me.
It's like a week ago.
Painting stuff the night before. Yeah, that was us.
What 1 week? John, want to do a podcast?
Yeah. Here we are.
That's it.
I find though, like those last minute projects makes you really pull it all together. The
man.
idea is fresh, and you're still you're feeling the energy with it too.
Yeah,
so,
100%. So a couple of questions, like where's it at? Like, because at first I've heard of it. Like, what are you guys doing? Like,
so since that, basically, Thrive was just a New Year's event, just an overnight camping New Year's event. We sort of kept the numbers below 1,000 just so we could keep it all COVID safe, and we did it on a private property out at Bellow Park.
Nice.
So our act Double Ray performed, and we had some mates, Tijuana Cartel, and then a bunch of other local acts jump on the bill, and we sort of intertwined workshops and
amazing.
Yeah, it was great. It was really, really a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome.
I saw
man.
videos of
Yeah.
the day and some photos and looked amazing.
Yeah.
It definitely hid the stress behind it.
Yeah.
'Cause I know we chatted a little bit about some of the unforeseen things that came up with trying to pulling that together. I think weather played a little bit of a...
Oh man, jeez. Where'd I start?
Why is that? Every time there's a festival, it pisses down rain. Like,
Well, the funny part about this, like I've actually ran a lot of festivals. I used to do festivals from about 2000 to 2009. That was actually my field. Like I was, and then I was working as a youth development organizer, coordinator, like you were, John, facilitating young people running music events as well.
Awesome.
So, and I sort of got into that just by being in a band and just wanting to put on a festival, and then sort of found myself diving into that role. And then when 2010 sort of hit, had a bit of a transitional year of really wanted just to be an artist. So my wife and I decided to pack up our bags and just head off to Europe, and we sort of saved some money over about 6 months, and bought all this gear over in Europe, bought a van, bought a PA, just so we're totally self-sustainable, and just said, let's just see what happens.
amazing.
And
I
then
love it. That's right up my alley.
Pretty magic, man.
Yeah.
So what that was, did you say 09?
So that was around 2010, but we didn't actually leave until 2012. And so we were in another band called Kindred at the time. And Kindred was like a funk rock reggae act. And but we had this side project called Double Ray that we were sort of working on, and it was like a live electronica that we were sort of, Katie and I were sort of piecing together, and we didn't know really where it was going to go, but we just knew that on the sunny coast people weren't going to get it, and maybe even in Australia they didn't really get it because it was like a more of a live house music. And we just knew that Europe was the place, and Kate's brother was over there. We'd done a couple of trips over there already, and we thought we'll just head over there and see what happens. And we landed in we landed in London, and we bought our van and did a show or two over there, and then we made our way to Amsterdam, and then we were supposed to do our first festival in Switzerland it was like a few days later, and we got stuck in Amsterdam.
Things got a bit blurry as you got to Amsterdam.
It was and second trip to Amsterdam, you know.
Yeah, 10 years later.
So we got back yesterday.
No one recognised us.
We almost did want to live there. We actually started talking about living there. Like, I don't know whether it was just because we were totally coherent to what what Amsterdam brings. Yeah. But it was just the whole culture. We just loved it. Like, the music culture is amazing over there. And but yeah, anyway, we missed our festival. Yeah. So we actually missed it, and we stayed in Amsterdam for 2 weeks, and we caught up with a buddy of mine over there, Dub Effects. So he was the guy that sort of inspired us to go do this, and and he gave us a few contacts, and then all of a sudden we were, we got picked up by an agent, and we were just started touring hard, and we ended up doing 80 shows in the 6 months.
Wow!
Really?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Far out.
How was that? Like,
it was epic. It was
very efficient agent.
It just snowballed. It was all of a sudden, like within 2 weeks, he had a tour lined up in Austria for us.
Wow!
And we were doing like 8 or 9 shows a week, like 2 shows, like a festival and then a venue show, and then. And we didn't really even know what was happening. Like, we just sort of were like, yeah, cool, we've got another show. We need some more money for the fuel. Let's just go do it. And blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden, it was just like, it just kept snowballing. And then we started seeing, like, we'd meet people on the way, and they're like, oh, I've got this mate in Italy, and he runs a venue. Wow. You should go down and do that. And he'll hook you up with your shows. And then
one opportunity leads to another.
Yeah, it was really...
were as you went, were the audiences building? Like, did you actually, like... Or was it just more places sort of like...
Nah, they were building.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
We were gathering a little following over there. And
that's so good,
great.
man.
So, yeah.
You still get messages from fans? That,
mate, we've got a couple of guys that are just like solid. One guy in Austria named Flo. He'll probably watch this, actually. Okay. What's up, Flo?
Yeah. Hey, Flo.
What's up, Flo?
He's been solid. He's been... but, yeah, we've got we've got people wanting us to come back over because... We did the circuit, and then we had the circuit down, and then we had Kindred flying over the rest of the band because we still had Kindred going as well. Yep. And they flew over, and we had a 3-week tour booked in the UK with those guys. And that was a funny story because we got stuck in Spain, and we were driving back up to go to the tour, and our van broke down in the middle of France. Yeah. And we ended up in this campsite, stuck there for 3 days with a hitchhiker we'd picked up, who ended up being from Byron Bay.
Oh, what?
And then and then all of a sudden we got stuck there and made it back for the tour in time, and did the Kindred tour, and then those guys left, and then we had a whole nother 2 rounds of like the 11 countries that we'd just gone to.
Amazing.
So over the 6 months, it just ended up being a big circuit.
Crazy, man. Did it get grueling? Like, because like sometimes people go on tour and say it gets like really grueling after a while. Like, what did you feel that, or was it just all excitement? Like,
at first it was all excitement, and then we were coming into the winter months, so it was pretty cool. Like all of a sudden, we're snowboarding and all that sort of stuff, and but then right at the end of the tour, we went and pulled up stumps at Kate's brother's house, Ben. He was living in Switzerland. Yeah. He was working in this place called Gestad, which is like they call it the like millionaire's playground. Really, it's in the Alps, and it's like picturesque. It's amazing, and there's like 3 hotels there, like real like premium hotels, and we thought, let's just go drop a CD off of these hotels and see what happens, and not expecting anything at all, and and we got a call back from one of the hotels, the Park Hotel, and they were like, we really love your CD and we want to book you guys. And we're like, sweet, like Switzerland.
Here's the next leg of our
Only
journey.
for $1 million.
We're like, well, what fee do we rock up for a 5-star hotel of this thing? And anyway, so we were like, I don't know how we're going to do this, but anyway, so we decided to we flicked them back a quote that we thought was acceptable, and they got back and said, no, we actually want to book you guys for a whole season. And we're like, oh. Okay, that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
So we went up and met with them, and then from there we ended up getting a regular gig at that hotel over the next 2.5 years.
Shit.
What?
So
2.5 years.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Dude.
So we were doing like about 5 weeks at a time, playing every single night.
As a band, or was it just it was just the duo?
Yeah.
Yep.
So at that time we had a percussionist, but we sent him, he was coming over and doing. So basically what happened there was we did the summertime came.
Yeah.
We went back to Europe. Oh, rewind.
Yeah.
Went home, got made redundant in my job.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, we're just packing up and we're moving to Europe.
Yeah.
So we just went there and we did a tour, flew the band over, and Double A had sort of started getting momentum at that time. Yeah. And we added a couple of members. So we flew those guys over, did the tour for about a month and a half, and then started our first contract in the Park Hotel. And
awesome.
It was like a boot camp, man. It was like, because we had to play 5 hours a night.
Shit.
And
that's full on, man.
It was, we didn't know how to handle it. It was we lost our voice. Both of us, Kate, my wife and myself, lost our voices in the first 3 nights.
Wow.
Because we were like coming off tour, like ready for big proper gigs, and then we're going into a hotel environment, where you guys know what it's like.
Plus climate, the different sort of adjusting to the climate there as well. When going from here to over there, and like your body adjusting and your voice and.
Yeah, well, we were lucky. It was like it was summertime. So,
okay, right,
we were super lucky at that stage. But when the winter one came, that was a good,
that would have been a
good test. Yeah.
So did you guys have to change the way you sing? Like, did you actually?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Because that's a lesson. You know what I mean? Like.
Well, we just started realizing that we're not in a concert environment now. We're in a hotel thing, and we'd never we'd done cover gigs and that around Sunny Coast and that, but we'd never done a hotel contract in a 5-star hotel like that. And this hotel was it was pretty next level. Like they were having so they had the Stade Open there, which is like the tennis tournament. So they had Federer coming up and staying there, and they had they had the Kazakhstan president. And and then they had they call it the Rosé School, which is like the richest school in the world. So all the kids from the Rosé School would come to this hotel and in the afternoons after school and eat sushi there because they had like the best sushi chef.
Wow.
And so it was just
crazy. I love it.
It was pretty unique experience.
And what do you reckon the differences are? Like, because obviously you guys felt the Sunny Coast wasn't the audience that would appreciate that stuff. Like, what's the difference between in your experience between the Europe audience and the Aussie audience?
Around that time, the Europeans were they understood their electronica. Where I think this is sort of around 2012 and 2014 that Australia was just sort of
coming out of Chisel.
That's exactly right. You nailed it, man. Coming out of their Aussie rock, and then
I don't know if
now
it's still fully out of it.
I don't think it'll ever be fully out of it.
Yeah, we love our Chisel. You find that, don't you? Like the Europe's a lot more. No, I wouldn't say sophisticated, but they're sort of ahead of the curve a bit, compared to us. You know what I mean?
Well, especially in that musical genre. But now we've got some amazing electronica artists here. It's just flourishing, really. So, but
awesome.
Awesome. At which stage did you sort of see the changes happening here, or I guess Australia catching up a little bit? How at what stage did you sort of notice? Oh, this is the scene's picking up here.
Yeah, well, because we were coming back, so what we do is we go over there, we do a tour, we do a hotel contract for 4 or 5 weeks, and then we'd do another tour. So we'd fly the band back over.
Wow.
And then a couple of times we just happened to snag like a wedding with like one of these guys that are just absolutely loaded. And then we'd basically, I think in 2014, we made enough on like one show at a wedding in this guy that was in Andorra. He pretty much had like more a bank. It's like he owned like these banks of Andorra and hotels and that, and he flew the whole band over, and we played this wedding, and it was just ridiculous. And basically that wedding funded not just us to get to Europe and back, but funded the whole album, our album in 2014.
Amazing.
With all our video clips and all our releases. And
really?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, we've got to find some weddings like that.
It was a bit of a snag. So,
I thought the Sunny Coast Hinterland was a good scene.
It was cool. Like it was, because we were trying to look for record companies and that sort of stuff to do that, but then we just found a back door, to get the finances that we didn't have to pay it back either.
That's
which was
amazing.
Great.
Yeah. Wow.
So what's your take on record deals nowadays? Like, have you signed any deals like over the years, or like?
Not with this act.
Yeah.
We had a record contract with an old rock band I had back in like around 2000 to 2008.
Yep.
It was different back then. Like the record companies had like it's the same model. Like they're like a bank. They lend you money, and then you got to make sure. And I watched a lot of my friends sign those deals.
Yeah.
And then just get into a world of hurt.
Yeah, 100%, man.
They were getting famous.
Yeah.
But no one knew behind the scenes. They were like in a lot of
poor.
debt.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, look, I think nowadays like you see, I've been sort of doing a bit of research on this, and like the 50-50 deal, that seems to be the thing now where you sort of generally give away 50% of you license 50% of your royalties to a label, and in return they'll sort of market your stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I reckon that's a way better model, because they just usually do it song by song. They just choose what songs, and then they just license a particular song. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, which is better than the 360 deal.
Yeah, man.
The artist just gets totally
100%.
But man, like record deals these days, like it's getting fairer, and it sort of took out that whole head honcho thing of the record companies. So it was good. It's put the artist a bit more on an even playing field. I thought so.
100%, man. Awesome. I actually want to talk to you about because I've seen on Facebook, I see it quite a bit. You guys do these sound healings.
Yeah.
Can you talk a bit about that? Because I'm pretty intrigued. Like what?
Yeah, man. So we started getting into sound healing. Maybe like about 5 years ago, when Double A was sort of evolving with our sound, working out who we were as an act, and like where we sat. Were we in that? We weren't in the pop market, and we were getting played on Triple J Roots and all, like, but we weren't Roots, we were electronica. It was funny, like we were dropping drum and bass tracks, and we're getting played on the Roots thing. So it was, we were trying to work out.
I don't think they knew it. It's like, look, it sounds cool, just play them.
Yeah, that's it. And then, so the gradual leading up to the sound healing stuff was in 2014. We were doing a lot of, probably like 3 or 4 trips back and forth between Europe and Australia, and every time we'd bounce, we'd go via Indonesia or Bali. Yep. And we just started getting right into our yoga, and that was a way for us to really keep grounded with all the traveling. And in that process, Katie, my wife, she came up with the concept. Every time we go to a yoga class, we're like, man, they're playing crap music, man. They're playing this like pop stuff, and you're trying to get in, like, and we were just not resonating with the music at all. Yeah. And we're like, well, why don't we just make the music? So awesome. Yeah, so we started diving into that like real down tempo electronica, and we took our time with it as well. Like we sort of took about almost like a year and a half, 2 years. Yeah. And we worked with some yoga teachers, and we started working with a few sound healers, and we started seeing that world. And we're like, this is interesting, like how frequency could, like, we're all made up of we're 70% water, and the way somatics works, like with frequency and sound, it's you can shift and move energy through vibration.
Yeah, man.
Know? And which as musicians, that's what we do in our everyday life.
I mean, even just, sorry to interrupt, but just, you know, have you seen those experiments where they just throw some salt on a table and runs different frequencies through the table, and it's just like these intricate patterns, like all different frequencies have these amazing patterns, you know? Like,
it's amazing.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah. That's the somatic stuff. And it's funny too when you get to the whole like different hertz and the way hertz work with water and the way they like, there's this constant like I guess unspoken thing about like 432 hertz whether to 440 hertz, you know, like where they, you know, 432 is the resonant frequency of our bodies, and they say that like there's a theory that back in World War II that they changed, Hitler changed it, was one of the guys that changed the concert pitch to 440 to cause dissonance in like our resonant frequency.
He was a nice fella, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
This is actually really good because I've started looking into the 432 hertz, but I never really understood where that came from, and like who came up with 440. This is interesting.
Yeah. So it was.
But then it's hard to find a good tuner to.
Well, it's so funny because it's like it's just slightly off. Like not off. It's slightly pitched, like just slightly lower. Yeah. But it's really like you see the experiments that, you know, like other musicians have done. Like on YouTube, there's one guy that he plays all these songs in 440 and 432, and it's to the human ear, it's barely anything. Like you wouldn't even know. Like, but to a musician, you go, oh, there's, you know, you can hear it.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's. So anyway, so back to the yoga thing. So we decided to do this yoga album, and then started learning all about this sound healing, and dropped our first yoga album, which is called the Sound of Prana, and it opened up this whole world for us as a band to be able to offer two types of concerts at festivals, and also like on our touring circuit, so we could do. You know, the big concert, and then we could work with a yoga teacher and go and do these yoga concerts.
Amazing.
And it just brought in a whole different following as well. So we got our first booking at Splendor out of that.
Beautiful.
And that's when the whole yoga scene opened up, and then through that process is where we started diving into sound healing.
Yeah. Awesome.
So we do a regular sound healing once a month. And it's not like song form. It's very intuitive.
Yep.
And we use binaural beats to change brainwave patterns to drop you into like a deep meditation. And we sort of sit at around 432 hertz and your 512s and different frequencies to really create like healing in the body. And the reaction we get from it has just been it's been amazing. It's been really humbling.
So important, man. Like to, you know, like I think as we go through life, you know, like especially if you're like a driven sort of person, you can sometimes just keep going till you drop. Do you know what I mean? I think it's so important to like have things that. Speaking
from experience, too.
Yeah,
I feel like this.
Well, you know what I mean. Like I don't know.
You're probably one of the both of you guys are hard workers. I think my schedule's hectic, and then I just go,
Yeah, I don't know. Like
John.
I go through times, you know, like I'm sure everyone does, where you sort of you kind of get run down, or do you know what I mean? It's
so
like
many different things.
It's like
So you got a cool setup at your house too. Like that's where you run a lot of your workshops and.
Okay, so we'll edit that out.
No.
Sorry, what was your address again? Oops. What like I'm just gonna dump it on. Have you ever done ayahuasca?
Yeah,
you have. Yeah, same. How did you find it? Like, what's?
It's absolutely amazing. I was waiting for the calling for it for a long time.
Same. Yeah.
And I didn't actually get the calling until just late last year.
Okay.
And so I went and did. I thought I was going to go do it in South America. That was where I was going to go do it, but I ended up doing it locally.
Yep.
And I just wow.
Yeah. It's
fucking
mind blowing, man. Like stories. What have you got? Any stories? Like what?
Well, everyone purges in their in their situations, and I've watched it create a lot of healing with my my brother, who's my drummer. Brother from another mother, Damo, who's the drummer of Double A.
Yeah.
And he's done it quite a lot because he had a lot of trauma that he had to heal.
Yeah.
And I found I just had this overwhelming sense of gratitude about my life because I had a lot of things that are going well.
Yeah.
And I felt like the mother, as they call her, just opened up that just overwhelming sense of gratitude. And I had a beautiful experience where other people in the room were going through hell.
Same, man. It's in saying that though, like, because I did 2 nights a couple of times, and usually what I found is the first night's pretty harrowing, like. And you go through whatever it is you need to go through. And then the second night for me is always just bliss. Like I think I described it at the time as, what was it? It was like unbearable bliss.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
it was
awesome.
just like crazy, man. But the first night, it went through some pretty heavy stuff. Like just, I don't know, like mentally and whatever. But it's such an amazing experience, man. Like, I don't know if you got this, but like I was shot out into the universe, you know what I mean? And just like, don't know where I was, and just like had these, it sounds funny, but I woke up on this bed, like this, almost like a hospital bed.
Yeah, wow.
And I looked up, and there were these like crazy, like 10-foot tall insect like beings, like hovering over me, and I felt all this vibration like in my shoulder, and I actually had like a really bad shoulder because I'd injured it like a couple of years before. And they were like fixing my shoulder. I came out of that weekend and I've never felt a single thing in my shoulder ever again. Like totally healed.
I've heard that so many times.
It's insane, man.
Yeah.
And I can't explain it, but it's just like I went somewhere and just got healed by these crazy like insect eyes. It's so weird, man.
Stuff like that, man. Well, they say because like. Yeah, well, have you done rebirthing before?
No. What's that?
So rebirthing as in rebirth breath work.
Okay.
So
Haven't heard of it.
So ayahuasca is like the like healing trauma from like plant medicine.
Yeah.
But we have our innate healing mechanism within our breath.
Okay.
And so they call rebirthing breath work. It's like the way to heal trauma from like your cellular level, like so like with ayahuasca, like these guys, obviously these entities or whatever, like healed some traumatic thing that it was stored in your body.
I don't know what it was, man,
just gone. Well, that's what breath work does as well,
right?
It's
crazy.
So I got that shot out of the universe type of utter bliss feeling, like I didn't know where I was through breath work.
Right. Really?
It's
crazy.
And they call it rebirthing because, they, when you enter this world, like most people enter in with a traumatic experience. Like your first opening up of life is like on a hospital bed, lights. You're maybe getting dragged out by your head in a hook, and like
man.
It's a traumatic experience. Like and some people are lucky enough to have that beautiful home birth or like the water birth or whatever like that. It's all good, but like a lot of us, like majority, have traumatic stuff that happens from. So you start that pattern in your life, and then all that trauma gets stored in your cells, like on a cellular level, and then all this trauma starts happening through your life, and you just store it, and then it develops into cancer and all this stuff. So rebirthing is about using prana, and like it's a technique of breathing, so that you take the breath in, and then the prana works in your cells, and it brings it out. Yeah. And people have like breakthrough experiences, like it's
amazing,
crazy.
man.
Wow.
Like it's just that stuff for me. I just love that stuff. Like, why wouldn't you? We're this human being that's like traveling through this life, like anything that can help, or you know what I mean, like get you closer to spirit or whatever. I think anyways, like why wouldn't you, man? Like, so you know what I mean?
I've different experiences, but probably for illicit sort of.
We're gonna get Johnny doing some ayahuasca.
This is all pretty eye-opening.
we'll stay on breath work, mate. Maybe a little bit of DMT.
I think you'll be like next.
I think I spoke to an Ewok once. Wow, this is amazing. And this is your journey too. The linking with music and, but it's goes beyond just recording songs for airplay, but this is like life and for you, healing and connection, and
it's so much like just a quick story is like when I was painting this room like last couple of days, I just put on this like Beatles album but it was like the White Album, but all the outtakes and demos, and just so like for about 3 hours I just got immersed in like with the Beatles, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
The thing that amazes me about that band, man, is like when you listen to a Beatles song, the minute the song starts, you're in another world. You know what I mean? Like, so it's got a flavor and it's got like a spiritual like flavor to the songs. You know what I mean? Have you noticed that?
Oh, totally.
You know what I mean? Like some music just has that power, man. Like it's just from the moment you dive into the song, it's like, whoa, like this is not just some dude trying to create a song. This is a feeling. You know what I mean? Like,
I get that from Tool.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like. Yeah, I think there's different levels, you know, like
totally.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I try and do with my stuff, you know. It's hard though, man. Like,
well, it's about being authentic, and
it is.
capturing that spirit, because you can easily overproduce stuff, and all of a sudden it's lost that soul. Yeah. So
I think especially when you're creating stuff over time, like in our day and age, like what happens is you demo something, like then a month later it goes to someone else, and by the time the journey of the song is like sometimes 6 months, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas I think
sometimes 3 years.
Do you know what I mean? And so I think back then is what like they used to just go into a studio and like for a week or whatever and go, okay, we're gonna record these songs, and just, you know what I mean. So it was like a capture of that moment in time. So
I just got a question, just with that too. So your skill set's obviously performing, also producing, and so you've worked on a lot of your own songs in your own studio as well, and continue to do that. And so tell us a little bit about that, the back end sort of stuff. And
I had the privilege of working with a couple of different amazing producers back when I was doing Kismet, the rock band. We worked with Anton Haggett, who was ARIA Award winner with Silverchair and a couple others. And I just learned a lot from those guys. And then a lot of my friends, you know, now that are kicking goals in the music industry, are great producers, and you just learn off each other, you know. Like it's great. And now, like even lately, like when the Sunny Coast has got this thing called the Sunshine Coast Producers Group, and even that's just it's like a little hub that we meet at Pridgeon, the Pridgeon Digital Hub, and just bounce ideas off each other and just help each other out. So. It got to a point where I was just sick of paying out all this money for producers,
I hear you, man.
and I just went, I gotta know. And I think on the world of going down into the electronica with Double A,
that's right.
That's where it opened up my world as producer as well.
And what do you reckon makes a good producer? Like, because it's like that term, isn't it? You say producer, and it's like I've always wondered what is a producer, a music producer, you know?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Do you know what I mean?
I guess so. What makes a good producer is someone that has foresight on the song, but is willing to bend and be true to the song as well, like in the process of, you know, like the way it's coming together as well. It's like, you know, you sort of know, like some songs are just like boom, they're there and that's it. It's a package. You just do it, you put it down. As you know, like when they go in to record those things, and then others, like we've had songs that, like I said, have taken 3 years.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Because you know, you might get the lyrics one time, you get inspiration on the lyrics, and then all of a sudden, and then
different puzzle pieces that just haven't. Gotta find the right pieces.
Exactly.
Yeah. I find as an artist, like one of the main things, like, because I've only just recently started working with a producer, and because I'm just a stubborn bastard, you know, like I've always, but I found like the right guy for me. When you're an artist, it's, you know what I mean? It's tough sometimes, because in the past I have given my stuff over to producers and they've just ruined it, you know what I mean? And it's like, and it's, then you got to have that difficult conversation, and you know, there's money involved, and it can be a nightmare, man. And do you know what I mean?
I've been there a few times.
Many times, So, but I finally found the right guy, and what I've found is one of the things he does best is challenge me. Like, I'll give him a song, and he'll like totally mangle it, you know, like just so it's almost unrecognizable, and send it back to me, you know, and
Yep.
it's tough, man. It's like jarring, you know. Well, what's he done to my song?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
But the more I've learnt to trust that and to actually like open my mind to that, my music's gone from being there to up here. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I reckon that's if you can find someone who can do that for you and challenge you. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, yeah, like that's making good producers is getting challenged, but in like a healthy challenging.
Yeah.
I had like a few friends that. So a pretty good story is I don't know if you know the band The Butterfly Effect.
Yeah.
So they were recording with Tool's producer just as Tool came out of doing Lateralis.
Yeah.
And they were going in to do their album.
Yeah.
I think it was Imago. And they just got dragged over the coals by that producer because he's, you know, like he's just worked with Tool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's got this little Aussie band, like, and he just basically smashed them, absolutely smashed them, like as in just broke them down, like no confidence building whatsoever.
Wow.
So some producers just, you know, like they're...
Oh, and so I thought there was going to be thought that was going to be a positive thing, but
the album that came out of it was amazing.
Yeah,
but
okay,
those guys literally came out of that experience just literally broken.
Really?
Yeah, like it caused a lot of dissonance in the band.
Yeah, okay.
And you know, he basically told the drummer Ben like that, you know, he was useless. And but what good that came out of that was Ben went back and just got lessons for a year and just made himself even better. So he rose to the occasion, you know, especially coming on the back of like having Danny Carey, like that's just recorded in there. Oh, so, but
that's
like,
a make or break.
The album came out amazing. It was awesome, but like just that process, watching how some producers work. I don't like to work like, you know, that they're world class producers, but like, you know, I guess each their own, really.
Yeah, there's got to be kindness involved. Like if you're giving someone, you know, like criticism, that it can't just be like criticism. You know what I mean? There's got to be some kindness behind it. I think, like, you know what I mean? I don't know. That's what I find.
Spoonful of sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Brad, tell us about your latest.
Well, Red Dad.
I was going to pull a British accent there, but
yeah. So I don't know, man. Just like what's going on lately?
All right, so I think I told you about the Thrive Festival.
Yeah.
So out of that experience, so the last sort of 10 years, I decided to be a musician and steer away from the events and just do that. And then I since my daughter's come and I've started getting a bit of a passion back for running events again. And just seeing the community that's happened on the Sunshine Coast and the way the music scene's going, it's just the right time.
Yeah, awesome.
So so I've started a company with a good friend of mine called the Flow State Experience, and basically we've got a series of events that we're going to be doing throughout the year, which is Thrive, and we're about to drop, which by the time that this gets aired, will already be dropped. But Prana Fest. And another event called Bloom, and then the Flow State Experience. So it's like 4 events throughout the year.
Awesome.
And these events are like music and wellness focused.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow, man. Yeah.
So good,
busy.
Man.
Yeah, and then trying to...
But good busy.
And then out of that too, like within the last year, I started a DJ project called Raw Audio.
I've heard.
And that's been just getting really busy. It's great. So
was that surprisingly busy? Like it just kind of took off faster than you sort of anticipated. Because I remember you were DJing. I think it was at Taps like a few years ago, and I remember you were saying like it was the early stages. I want to just kind of redesign the way you DJ, and you were kind of coming up with a concept back then, and I feel like that was maybe 2 years ago, and then and I started seeing you doing your Raw Audio, and that was like that just took off really quickly. I feel like
well, because I around that was around the time my daughter was born. And I was slogging it out doing the cover stuff just because I'd lost Katie. Like Katie was being a mum. Yeah. And so all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I've got to be a solo artist for the first time in my life. Damn. So
was that about the time I saw you at Sneaky Baron? That was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that would have been it, man. I'd probably only been a solo artist for maybe 6 months a year prior to
Sounded
that.
good, man, that night.
Thanks,
that was,
man.
Yeah, that was awesome. You were looping. You were a machine, man. You were going off.
I was so nervous when I started my solo stuff. Like, you know, I'd always had a band behind me, or I had Kate and her amazing voice. So for me, that was a real, like, I had to try and grow in that, you know, that act. But at the same time, I was slogging it out. You guys know what it's like doing the covers circuit, and just to try and keep an income coming in for baby mama and
sugar daddy.
And I was like, oh man, I've got to try and transition this energy a little bit more. And I'd always loved electronic music, and I'd always loved DJing, and I would DJ just at parties and that sort of stuff. And so I started DJing, started realizing that I was not a late night DJ. So especially one of the times that I did taps from like 10 till 2, I just went, this sucks,
like
man.
Beer flying all over you.
People going like, play this song. I'm like, no.
Dude, oh my God.
I was the DJ that was like, you guys can know.
Taps is, I've only played it once, but it was off the hook, like crazy drunk, just like, you know what I mean?
Every
like,
time I did the solo thing there, it went ballistic. It was as in like live.
Yeah.
But the DJ world was just a totally different thing for me. Like, and I was playing stuff that I really dug.
Yeah.
But you know, like you just it's inevitable. Like it drags you into that pop electronica world. You know, like if you're at like those types of, and there's youngins that are just got this.
Did you
thing
play
in their
horses though that night?
Well, no, because you're DJing, you don't have to play horses, which is awesome.
My God.
I'm actually working on a remix of horses.
Are you really?
I saw one of your raw audio sets, and someone did ask for the horses.
Oh
and he
my
said,
God. What
not
is
today,
it about
buddy,
that song, man? Like,
Man. So I worked out in my covers set how to just get out of that song.
Yeah.
I mix it with Pony.
Okay.
But, you know, like in Genuine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, you know, so you get the, you're on it, let's do it.
Isn't it crazy how like a song just...
How you do it?
Yeah, you just change it. Yeah.
It's crazy how a song just gets into the psyche of like... Do you know what I mean? Like, you realise that when you do covers, man, there's just a couple of songs that have just gotten so embedded in the psyche of the population.
Yeah.
Like,
Wonderwall.
just every single time.
Horses.
You know what I mean?
What else? Like,
And-
what are the five?
Oh,
You guys can
it's
name?
got to be Horses.
Horses, Wonderwall.
Wonderwall.
K-San.
K-San,
yeah.
What else? The Gambler.
Oh, the Gambler.
The
yeah.
Gambler.
Yeah.
What else?
I was going to say my
I kind of
God,
like
but not Mogo,
playing
but,
Take Me Home Country Road, actually.
Okay. Oh, and Sweet Home Alabama is another one.
Oh, yeah,
Sweet
true.
Home Alabama. Yeah, true.
And
Yep.
it's
Oh,
so
Tommy
weird.
Life, Green Day.
Yeah, I never get.
I never get
play it.
requested.
It's 'cause I play it already.
Just get out the way.
I never get that
I actually
one.
really
It's
enjoy
like,
that
oh, it's 'cause I play it.
Uh,
It's funny.
Wow.
Yeah, we've all been there, and we like the
Oh.
grueling. You know, it's takes it out of you doing like 3 covers gigs a week.
Yeah,
it just
absolutely.
does.
Oh man, especially when you're doing like even like you're doing like two
Five
you're
this
doing
week.
like 2 a day,
Yeah.
or like for 7 days straight. And I'm like, has he even got a voice, man?
I
Like,
know.
what
Actually,
is going-
I've pulled back on doing back-to-back on the same day.
Yeah.
I try my best to do that.
Yeah, that's
It's that was a bit nuts doing that.
that is nuts, man. I like, even just 4-hour gigs, I can't stand them. Like,
Yeah.
there's something about that 4th hour
Yeah.
that just I don't know what it is, but
It's
it just gets you, doesn't it? Every time. You
Oh,
know?
totally.
Yeah.
Yep. Every time.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like necessarily healthy to be singing for 4 hours
Nah.
straight anyway, but it's
Yeah. But it's not even the vocal thing for me. Like, you know, it's more a psychological thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you get
something
you're like,
happens
yeah,
after
just
3
finished
hours.
the 3
like-
hours, and I'm like, oh, I got another hour to go. Another hour. It's gonna break me.
I know that we shouldn't be whinging because we've got the best job in the world, but
Yeah.
there's something about that last hour. I don't know what it is.
Although something for me that's changed recently is so I've changed from playing acoustic for years
Yeah.
to electric, and I've actually probably more tapped into the whole like so just the warm tones.
Yeah.
You know, the Valves. Yeah, nice little plug there. Product placement.
Warm tunes.
Remember I told you that when I saw you at
Oh yeah.
I noticed it straight away, man. Like,
yeah, actually, I was playing through a Valve amp that and just I don't know. There's something about having that sound that is just completely different to what I was used to for years.
Yeah.
And then I just for the last few months just realised I'm actually getting lost in that sort of moment. And I'm playing differently. I'm singing differently.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And those 3-hour gigs end up, you know, when they sort of can you play a little bit longer? And I found myself just recently not minding playing a little bit longer because
you're into it.
So I've
tapped into a different level of
2 more months of that, John.
You might be right. You've got this down on record, so let's have
this conversation.
Go to banjo or something.
John's like, I've upped it to 5 hours now. I'm still feeling good.
Now I play synth.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm doing 8 hours of synth.
Well, I was the same with raw audio. So like when I tapped into the raw audio thing and I worked out my concept of what I wanted to do, I knew that I wanted to bring like a musical element into it. So I slowly brought in Damo on percussion, and then I was just messing around with bringing.
He's a machine.
Oh mate, it's just he's just a weapon. So
Just because is he the guy that played for High Life the other night?
No.
Okay.
No. So Damo he's double A's drummer, percussionist.
Okay.
Yeah. But he's just visually.
Beautiful,
mate, he's just got energy, and he's just amazing to watch. Like people that's what I wanted. Like I was like, it's easy to DJ, but people love to see a live musician too. So you got this dude like just like shredding it up on percussion. It's like,
it's
cool.
just a constant smile. Like,
Are you sure it's not the same dude?
No. So I know who you talk about.
He was amazing as well. Like he'd smile on his face the whole time. He was like jumping down in the crowd and running through with his djembe, and it was so good, man.
He's a legend.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and then we started bringing in sax, and then I play a bit of guitar as well, and then just worked on that whole remixing of like classic tracks. I just started noticing I'd done a couple of, and then I just noticed the crowd. It just things changed from being like a DJ to a proper show again, you know, and like you can see the switch when it happens.
Oh, it's
like
awesome.
You can just like you go from that like, you know, DJ and then I've started to slowly work out how to like integrate that so it builds and has an explosive like live show, and then it just tapers people back off into like a trancey thing. So it's been great, and it's residencies now at the Dock and the Bluff Bar and Boiling Pot, and then we've just done our first ticketed show and sold that out. So it's slow. Night Quarter, we're getting a lot of residencies. It's
and
good.
just to give perspective with that, like when did you see that just really start to build, like in the last 4 or 5, I don't know how many months has it been when you sort of noticed it, just your phone's been going off the hook and emails
only in the last few months actually.
I feel like it's just been a very short amount of time.
I did the very first concept of raw audio, like not last New Year's but the New Year's before. And then I hadn't done it in the COVID period, like because obviously we were all locked down. And then we started, some friends of mine started putting on some underground gigs towards the end of the COVID stuff. Yeah. And one of the gigs that was the Secret Garden Party, that was with the Vandero boys. And I brought raw audio. I worked out the full concept by then. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. So I was just like, all right, I'm just going to drop this and see what happens, you know?
That's awesome.
And it went
I love that, man. I love that you're always thinking about, you know what I mean? Like, I love that. Like, that you're always thinking about the next thing and, like, how to make it better and how to, you know, get your show to build. And, you know what I mean? Because I think a lot of, especially in the space that we're in, with, you know, on the sunny coast, you do go out and see a lot of guys that are just doing their thing, you know what I mean? And there's not that there, you know what I mean? Like that. Thinking about the crowd and how do I build them and how do I make this a show, you know what I mean? Yeah,
exactly. And getting in the DJ world, especially with that, like I only know a handful of DJs that really know how to like put on a show. So that's been the beautiful journey with raw audio. It's just like organically developing. So
that's fantastic.
Amazing, man.
But and then so it's funny because out of that, that process of like, so raw audio did its first New Year's show at the Perugian Beach Hotel, like in 2010, 19 to 20. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure that it was going to be a big show from 2020 to 2021. So Raw Audio had to play Thrive Festival.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was funny because, got bands like Tijuana Cartel and Double A's got a big sound, but Tijuana is definitely like a bigger, and they're a much bigger name.
Yeah.
And there's no way I would ever put Double A on after Tijuana Cartel because they're just like Kerry and the crew. I really respect those guys as musicians and producers. Like, he's probably one of my favorite producers.
Yeah.
And but I just knew that Raw Audio could go on after them and still kick it, and it did.
Yeah.
So I was like, awesome. I was like, tick that one out of the box.
Awesome. You must have lost a bit of sleep thinking through all that sort of.
Well, funny enough, I was so engulfed in running the festival, I didn't.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm just gonna go for it, like whatever.
Yeah.
And then and in the process of the festival with the rain, and then we had like a couple little noise complaints. But I mean, we were out in the middle of nowhere and we still had a bloody noise complaint.
Yeah,
It was
there's always one, mate.
Mate, they just, I don't know. But anyway,
Up
we
in
got
little tree houses or something.
yeah, got through it all. But yeah,
He's probably just pissed off they weren't invited, you know what I mean? Like, that's usually what it is.
Fear of missing out.
Oh man. Well, yeah, he was. He ended up being pretty good for us because we made the paper, like the Sunshine Coast Dailies online thing. Bad news, obviously. We'd set potholes in the road of their rural road, and he was like, "Oh, you guys, this festival had brought these potholes and drunken people," and it wasn't. It was totally opposite of that. It was actually people that were there. Were like a Woodford crowd and were there like yogis and that sort of stuff but we ended up having a conversation halfway through the festival because he was calling council and calling the cops and
wow,
and we went up and had a conversation with him, and all of a sudden he was cool.
Yeah, right.
So
that's so good.
We flipped it around pretty quickly, which was great.
It's great to hear, man.
Yeah. He just wanted some attention, mate,
Yeah, I think I thought he got an invite, but apparently he didn't. And then when we went up,
customary to invite your neighbours.
we went up and invited him, but he was already a bit jaded by then, so he didn't come. But awesome. He was cool, so it was cool to let it happen. Yeah.
So what next, mate? What's like, just to wrap it all up? Like, what's on the cards for the next year or so?
So we've got these festivals. So we're gonna. So we've got Prana Fest that's happening in 4th, 5th, and 6th of June.
Yep.
We've got Bloom Festival that's happening on the 31st of July at Night Quarter.
Yep.
Which is a venue activation event, which is and then Thrive at the end of the year.
Yep.
So that's where the events company's going and what we're doing with that.
Awesome.
And then Raw Audio is just sort of just ticking along, and Double A's about to drop a new album.
Amazing.
And then just see where it all goes from there, I guess.
Is that all, Brett? Is that all?
Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed, Brett.
Sure you're not like running for office or something?
We can give it a go. The Coastal Collective should run for office. I reckon we'd smash it, What do you got on the Coastal Collective now? Like 85
about 80-something people,
I reckon we're taking over the world with that, for sure.
So have you noticed there's new musos coming like every week to the Sunny Coast? Is that what you're sort of?
I've definitely noticed a lot. I mean, there's just a lot of people coming to the Sunshine Coast in general.
Yeah.
But I know personally, I've met probably about 5 different musos just in the last probably 2 or 3 months that they've just popped up out of nowhere, and they're actually really good musicians. So it's like that community is definitely growing, and
I reckon we're going to end up with one of the, if not already, but one of the most healthy music scenes in the country.
There's so much happening. I mean, exciting things in Nambour. I know there's a few things that kind of needed to work itself out there, and Andrew and crew out there have been phenomenal. But that's just a musical goldmine about to take off.
That's the only sort of entertainment precinct in Queensland other than the Valley, so it's got to have legs. So exciting, and Nambour needs that, like it needs it so badly. But mate, like it's funny because like the different communities that are going on, like in the music industry as well. Like you were a big part of bringing that the covers community together in that sense of like there was never that community. Like there was always there was the original music community, and we would talk, and but the covers always felt like it was very competitive.
Yeah.
And that's something I've really respected about what you've done, John.
Man.
It's just you've brought that community together to support each other, man. Like,
you say it, man. When I first got here, you were my savior. Like, he got me gigs. Like, seriously, man. Like, we sat down. I didn't know him from a bar of soap. I just hit him up on Facebook.
Sneaky Baron.
We went and had a coffee. Man, he booked me gigs. Like, it got me into the scene. Like, everything, man. Like, absolute legend. And without that, I reckon I would have struggled.
Thanks,
you know?
Yeah, totally.
Awesome.
You're like a magnet, bro. You just wherever you go, you're just like you're high vibes.
Must have been the links.
Where are the girls,
actually,
man? Like, there's all dudes here. What's going on, man?
Actually, that was that group started with trying to fill some dates for the Baron.
Yes,
there you go.
that's right. I
Because
remember
Ollie Merck and I, we were regulars there, but then we just started getting booked out for weddings, and then I just remember one early January, and
he was awesome too, Damo. Like,
Damo
when I
was
first got here, man, same again. He was just, just gave me 3, like, I think he gave me like 4 gigs in a row. Yeah, mate, this will get you started. It was like so good, man.
It was.
Yeah.
It's a good way in, and I think like just
that's how I contacted you, was through the Baron. Like, Damo, he's like, I said, I can't even remember what happened. I think I was trying to get a gig at the Alex, one of the Alex bars there, the Alex surf bar, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then and then all of a sudden end up with you, and then boom, the Coastal Collective was born. Sorry, John's.
It was originally John's. What was it?
Muso's John Likes. It's the most dickiest name. Everyone wanted to keep the name, and I was like, it's really weird trying to explain this group to people, but it was just it just I don't know, 15 people that I knew. We created a messenger group. Amazing. Need to fill the Baron weekends, and that's how it all started. But
and now it's so good, man. Like, I even know if I get a gap on a Friday or Saturday, I leading up to that week, I'm like, one of the musos will probably end up having a gig that they need to pass on. So it's really, and then
that happened just recently, I think.
Well, the new musos that are coming in too, like you said, you come into this scene, you're like, wow, man, how is this on the coast? Like, there's nothing like it.
Like you said before, like, anywhere else, man, like, the covers scene is like cutthroat. Do you know what I mean? It's like everyone's dissing each other. Not at all. Because it's not even that. Let's be honest. We're just doing covers. It's not
actually, and it's what I'm finding just through networks is you actually do get more gigs from other musos referring. Work to each other, and it's just
and it's organically created a union of like we get to make sure that there's a standard as well for the music industry and for what like venues and artists like the agreement. It's like because it's always been unspoken. So it's just
some of the new up and comers are just figuring out the business element of gigging because like they've got the talent, they've got their instruments, and let's go get some gigs, and it's like, oh, what do I quote? How do I do this? And having that network of people, I think, is really helpful. And but having you guys there, and just the years of experience you've had, and yourself, not just gigging, but also producing, and we've got people in the group who, and like myself, I'm more in the covers scene, but when I get my butt in gear and start writing my own stuff, I know I've got a community of people I can ask a lot of questions, and it's great. So it's awesome.
Just on that, how good is Night Quarter? Have you been to Night Quarter yet?
Been a couple of times. Yeah,
oh
awesome.
Man, and even have you noticed with those guys too, man? Like, just if you play, at either Malt Shovel or Night Quarter, you get like a bar tab, you get a PA supplied, you get Josh doing sound for you.
You get a PA supplied. Oh my gosh.
No, but you know what I mean.
Wow.
Like I reckon they're
just like lugging that stuff around.
They're like
on a regular.
The gold standard, man. I reckon from musos' perspective, they look after their musos, man, big time. I reckon.
That's because
we played Night Quarter with Dubberay down in Goldie, and it was always really good. But we did our first Night Quarter show. It was funny. It was like pretty much the exact replica of the New Year's event, like Tijuana Cartel and Dubberay, and it was an awesome experience. I reckon the design of that venue,
It's
nailed
amazing.
it.
It's amazing.
Absolutely
Yeah.
nailed it. Like
It's amazing.
The big venue
Yeah.
inside, they've knocked it out of the ballpark. The sound's
Yeah.
amazing. And
It's
then outside, like
crazy
the vibe
good.
stage, yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, and we went the other night, man, and it was when Lime Cordial was on in. I don't think they'd started yet actually, but like you can walk to different sections and the different stages, and you can't hear the. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so well designed,
Yeah.
man. Like there's all these sections where
massive.
yeah, it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
Cool.
I think I'm playing there next week, actually.
Oh, yeah?
As Raw Audio, yeah.
What-
okay.
what day?
With the full act, 20th of March.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
cool.
but this could be on after that.
Are you on the Vibe stage?
I'm on the Vibe stage with Raw Audio for that one, yeah. So
I think I might be playing before you. I think I'm
Oh,
on
really?
Yeah, I think I'm on before you, man.
So it's incentive, and I know that Adam is going to edit and cut this like probably within the next 2 hours.
Make sure that
It'll be done, man. Like, this
Come to
room
see
did not
Adam
look
and
like this
Audio.
like literally a day ago.
March 20th.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I think I'm on before you, man. So I'm on 4:30 to 6, and you're
Yeah,
on 7
to
till
10.
Yeah, beautiful.
With the 3-piece, so
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
I'll hang around, man.
The A team.
yeah,
Bring it on.
team. Yeah, that'd be fun, man.
All right.
Brett, thanks so much for coming out, mate. It's
Thanks for
It's
having
been
us.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
Thanks so
Yeah.
much, man.
Thanks for having us on the first
yeah.
one. It's really exciting.
Been so
project.
fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
what
And
a
what
great first.
I think what we'll do as well is like we'll get you back on in a couple of months or down the track as well, man. Like it's come back as whenever you want. Like it's
Love to.
yeah,
Live just
amazing.
up the road, so yeah.
Yeah. All right,
Awesome.
done. Episode 1 done.
That's
Sweet.
a wrap. Hey, vatos, you want some warm tones, is it?
Warm tones. Warm tones.